As usual, let us start our Dhamma talk by saying Namo Tassa 3 times. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Today's Dhamma talk is on the subject of freedom or liberation. This admonishment was delivered to the 500 Yoga Vajra. Yoga Vajra means intensive meditation. Bhikkhus or devoted meditators by our Lord Buddha over 2,500 years ago, while he was residing at the Jetavana monastery, which was built in the garden land of Prince Jeta in the vicinity of Indian capital city, Savatthi. First and foremost, let us try and understand the meaning of the word freedom or liberation. Freedom means everyone must be free from oppression and torture without any infringement on one's individual rights. Freedom may be distinguished into 2 main types. One is temporary freedom, and the other is perpetual freedom. In other words, it may also be stated as worldly freedom and samsaric liberation. Samsara, as you all know, is cycle of repeated rebirth. Worldly freedom is just temporary freedom, and samsaric freedom means perpetual liberation. In this hostile world of humans, individuals, partisans, and countries transgress each other's rights by misusing their economic power and military might. The so-called superpowers enslave the weaker ones, exploit their resources by oppression and torture. This kind of misfortune one encounters in this life may not extend to future ones. One may be liberated at the limits of this existence. Hence we say that such kind of liberation is temporary freedom or worldly freedom. The most frightful suffering is to be swept away in the sea of samsara. That is the continuous process of ever again and again, being born, growing old, suffering and death. More precisely put, samsara is the unbroken chain of the 5-fold khanda combinations we call Panchupada, which is constantly changing from moment to moment. They follow continuously one upon the other through inconceivable periods of time, as conditioned by avijja, that is ignorance or delusion, dana, craving, and kama, polish. Pali word avijja means ignorance, unknowing, synonymous with delusion. It is also moha. It is the primary root of all evil and suffering in the world, because it veils man's mental eye and preventing him from seeing the true nature of things. It is the delusion tricking beings by making life appear to them as permanent, happy, substantial, and beautiful, and preventing them from seeing that everything in reality is impermanent, liable to suffering, void of I and mine, and basically impure. Influenced by avijja or ignorance, this dana or craving for the sense objects arises. Motivated by dana, one performs the action by body, speech, or mind through karma or volition. That is what our Lord Buddha called action. Chiranaham bhikkhave kammam vadami. These karmical actions cause rebirth with resultant consequences of sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief, despair, old age, and death. The deliverance from this samsaric cycle of rebirth and suffering can only be regarded as the perpetual liberation. To attain such perpetual freedom, one must strive to eradicate avijja or ignorance, dana or craving, and karma. Now, let us try and understand how the 500 Yoga Vajra bhikkhus practiced in accordance with the Lord Buddha's admonishment and achieved the perpetual freedom. The 500 Yoga Vajra bhikkhus, they went to a forest retreat and practiced vipassana meditation. As they could not achieve satisfactory progress in their practice after some time, they returned to the Lord Buddha for further instructions. The moment they entered the compound of the Sayadaw monastery, the rain started falling heavily, so they had to take shelter from the rain in a nearby building. While they were waiting for the rain to stop, they saw the raindrops from the edge of the roof falling onto the waterbed on the ground, creating the foam bubbles arising and disappearing. As they continued watching the scene, their attention diverted to their own bodies and contemplated on the physical and mental phenomena arising and dissolving from moment to moment, like those foam bubbles. The Lord Buddha, being aware of their state of mind by his divine eye, he exhorted them from his residential quarters. Yatha bhobulakam passe, yatha passe marichikam, evam lokam avakhantam, maju raja nupasati. Meaning, Prasad, O dear son bhikkhus, just as you have witnessed the foam bubbles forming and instantaneously dissolving, or same as the flash of a lightning disappearing immediately, so also all the mental and physical phenomena in this sankhara loka of your bodies are arising and passing away from moment to moment. Lord Buddha continued, by strenuous contemplation, sons, if you can clearly perceive with full awareness, there means the psychophysical complex Dhamma and Rupa, impermanence, unsatisfactoriness, impersonality and loathsome character. You will escape the domain of death and be perpetually free from the undesirable suffering of repeated rebirth, aging, sickness and death. While attentively listening the Lord Buddha's teaching, they contemplated with full concentration on the physical and mental phenomena in their bodies. They attained various stages of meditational insight and Ariya Mega Phala, meaning path and fruition, noble path and fruition, and all became arhats. After the attainment of arhatship as the avijja or ignorance, dana or craving, or karma or volitional actions, these kilesas are completely eradicated, and they are perpetually free from the undesirable suffering of rebirth, aging, sickness and death. In conclusion, we all meditators also, by making use of our Lord Buddha's admonishment, contemplate on the meditation objects most earnestly and annihilate the avijja, dana, karma, kilesas completely, and be perpetually liberated from the undesirable samsaric suffering forever. If no questions for today, let us continue to discuss about the subject we haven't finished in our last talk in giving that answer. That is about the comparative study between the samatha and vipassana bhavana. We are discussing in our last talk. And there I've almost in detail explained about samatha bhavana or tranquility meditation. Now today let us go through about vipassana bhavana so that we have contrast between the two so that we can clearly discern one from the other. The heading aim and object. Last talk I have already explained the aim and object of samatha bhavana or tranquility meditation. The main object is to develop concentration. And in those days, because they needed the practice undertaking psychic powers or paranormal experiences. Then, what is the aim and object of practicing vipassana bhavana? Whether you all have it or not. The aim and object of practicing vipassana bhavana is to be relieved or to be delivered like today's talk entitled freedom, to be free or to be liberated from this samsaric suffering of repeated rebirths, aging, sickness and death. And we have on that day to elaborately discuss about the suffering. So to be relieved of suffering. And so in this vipassana bhavana, the main emphasis is to develop wisdom. Wisdom, or other words, it is called enlightenment. What about this enlightenment? When you are enlightened, you achieve two purposes. One is you realize the Four Noble Truths by your own experience, by practicing this vipassana bhavana or insight meditation. Then the mind takes up nibbana as object, and this path and fruition knowledge, mega and phala jnana arise. And the path eradicate the defilements which are the cause of suffering. Second noble truth, samudaya satya. So at the same time, when one gains enlightenment, one realizes the Four Noble Truths, and one eradicates at various stages corresponding mental defilements or kilesas. As we often pointed out, for one to practice this vipassana bhavana or insight meditation, we had to make use of the two discourses. The first one Turning of the wheel, the very first discourse Buddha gave after his enlightenment, Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, where Buddha explained the theoretical part of this vipassana bhavana insight meditation. And just now, as I said, to gain enlightenment, one has to realize the Four Noble Truths. And that too we have many times explained in detail. The Four Noble Truths are: 1, the Noble Truth of suffering; 2, Noble Truth of the cause of suffering; 3, Noble Truth of the cessation of suffering; and the 4 is the Noble Truth of the way or the path to cessation of suffering. The way or the path leading to cessation of suffering to practice, Buddha described as Noble Eightfold Path. And that too you all are familiar, and we have often mentioned. Samma-ditti, right view; Samma-sankappa, right inclination or right thought; then Samma-kammanta, right action; Samma-vaca, right speech; and Samma-ajiva, right livelihood; then Samma-vayama, right effort; Samma-sati, right mindfulness; and Samma-samadhi, right concentration. To practice or to develop these Noble Eightfold Paths to gain enlightenment. When he delivered his Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, that we call turning of the wheel, means the very first course, the very first time he started delivering Dhamma discourses. That's why it is as if when you start an engine or some machine, you have to turn the wheel or you have to ignite the engine. So that becomes the beginning. So at that time, out of the humans, there are only 5 ascetics. As you all know, Pancha, Vaggi. Pancha means 5. Vaggiya means a group of 5 self-made bhikkhus. At that time, they are not true bhikkhus yet. But there are innumerable or countless number of celestial beings or devas and brahmas, and many of them gain enlightenment. And out of the 5 Pancha-Vaggi human bhikkhus, only 1 Venerable Kondenya gained the first enlightenment, become Sotapanna. And because this is just a brief discourse on the practice, mostly of theoretical explanation about this vipassana bhavana. So for detailed instruction to how to practice, Buddha delivered this Mahasatipatthana Sutta. That is why we often mention that any vipassana bhavana or insight meditation, we have to make use of these 2 Dhamma discourses. The first one is turning of the wheel, Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, and the second for detailed instruction how to meditate, how to practice this vipassana bhavana or insight meditation, Mahasatipatthana Sutta. Now let us study about this Satipatthana Sutta because it directly concerned with the practice of vipassana bhavana and insight meditation. The word Satipatthana means, Sati means mindful, Patthana means observing or studying or investigating or analyzing, whatever you may use. So the 2 combined together, you mindfully, with full awareness or with full diligence of the mind, full activity of the mind, you watch this meditation object to understand its true nature of the object. That is the word Satipatthana. Maha is because Buddha sometimes talk in just or briefly discourse. This just is Satipatthana Sutta. Maha means because he gives in greater detail sometimes. As I often said, when Buddha gives discourse, he has psychic powers. And with his psychic power, he surveys his audience. And in his audience, if a person will gain enlightenment with Four Noble Truths, he talk about this Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta way, establishing or explaining more emphasis on Four Noble Truths. And the person who has practiced Satipatthana before, then he talk about this Satipatthana Sutta. And Satipatthana Sutta to some those whose paramitas or perfection is maturing, they need just brief discourse. So in that occasion, Buddha just briefly deliver the discourse. But some, they need elaborate explanation. Then he give the discourse and elaborate explanation. So that's how the become Mahasatipatthana Sutta. In the introduction of this Mahasatipatthana Sutta, Buddha said, Ekayano yam bhikkhvi mekho sadhanam visuddhiya soka paridivanan samadhikamaya dukkha domanasana adhikamaya nyayasa adhikamaya nibbanasa sachikiriyaya yaridam cattaro satipatthana. As I often say, we quote these Pali verses, this is our teacher's tradition, to impress you all that it is not our method or our conventions or inventions. It is Buddha's own words. As you all know, Pali is the language of Buddha. So this is Buddha's very words. That's why we always quote these Pali words or Pali phrases or Pali verses. The meaning is Ekayano yam bhikkhvi. Ekayana, and that too we have many times explained. This is the only way Buddha said. There is no other way. What if one aspire or one expect to gain 7 benefits? 1. Sadhana visuddhiya. If a person aspire to purify one's mind. What is meant by purification of the mind? Ordinary person's mind, unenlightened mind, is always influenced by mental defilements. As you all know, mental defilements are unwholesome mental states. So the mind is impure. So to purify these unwholesome mental states or kilesas or defilements, we had to practice this mindfulness meditation or insight meditation or vipassana bhavana. The first and the very first aim and object is to purify the mind. Then number 5 and 6, to gain path and fruition knowledge, Megha and Phalanyana. And number 7, to Nibbana Sachikiriyaya, to realize Nibbana. Just now I said, up to gain enlightenment or wisdom. Means enlightenment means realizing this Four Noble Truths, whereby you eradicate mental defilements, purifying the mind. And this is how one has to aspire when one is practicing this vipassana bhavana or insight mindfulness meditation. So to fulfill these 7 aspirations, what one must do? Buddha said, Yaridam Cattaro Satipatthana. You just take up these 4 foundations of mindfulness and meditate. Yadidam Chataro Satipatthana. Then he asked question, Katame Chataro, what are the four? Four foundation means what? Ida Bekwe Beku. He said, Ida Sadhanimi and his discipline and teaching. Loka means this psychophysical complex that constitutes a living being. We ourselves is a loka or nawa. On this psychophysical complex, you contemplate and full groups of mental objects and contemplate full foundation of mindfulness. Katame Chataro Kaya Kayanupasi Viharati. Contemplation of the physical phenomena or bodily phenomena or material phenomena, Kaya Nupasana Satipatthana. Then Virana Suvirana Nupasi Viharati. Feelings or sensations, contemplating on feeling or sensations, Virana Nupasana Satipatthana. Chaiti Chaita Nupasi Viharati. Contemplation on mind and mental fighters. Chitta-nupasana Satipatthana, and the rest collectively termed as Dhamma-nupasi Viharati. All other Dhammas. So these are four foundations of mindfulness. We have to contemplate. We have to make use of meditation object and meditate. How do you remember in our last talk when we talk about samatha bhavana, tranquility meditation? Buddha prescribed the meditation objects in four groups. In each group there are 10 categories, so total of 40 subjects. The first group is the Sina group, and the second is Asubha group, and the third is Anusati Bhavana, 10, all 10, and the last one is miscellaneous 10, so total of 40 subjects. Here to Buddha categorize for meditation object and Satipatthana or mindfulness meditation into four groups: Kaya-nupasana Satipatthana, Virana-nupasana Satipatthana, Chitta-nupasana Satipatthana, Dhamma-nupasana Satipatthana. But here in detail only 21 categories. And Samatha Bhavana, four groups of 10, so 40 subjects here, four foundations, but only 21 we go into detail. And Kaya-nupasana Satipatthana, Buddha described 14 categories or 14 chapters. One is Anapana Bhava, contemplation on in-breath, out-breath. Then the second is Iriyapatha Bhava, contemplation and four bodily postures. We normally take four body postures: sitting, standing, walking, and lying down. So meditation or contemplation in these four body postures is called Iriyapatha Bhava. Then the third is Samajanya Bhava. Samajanya means contemplating by clear comprehension of the object that we here prescribe as daily activity in Nokti. This is the third group in this Kaya-nupasana section. Then the fourth one is Dhatu Manasikara Bhava, contemplation on four gross elements of Patavi or Earth element, Abo or water element, Tejo or heat element, Vaya or wind element. Then Patikula Manasikara Bhava, contemplation on 32 parts of the body that we sometimes describe in detail. So together 5. And the next in this Kaya-nupasana Satipatthana is Nawasivatika Bhava, Nava means 9. Sivatika means dead body. 9 dead body contemplation. That doesn't mean that you contemplate on 9 dead bodies. 1 dead body and 9 stages of decomposition. And that is just to mention nowadays theoretically. It is not possible now. During Buddha's time, probably due to some economic reason or the cultural reason, some dead bodies are not buried or cremated. They just dispose of at a prescribed area we call charnel ground. So dead bodies are easily available for meditators to go and meditate on loathsomeness of the body. But nowadays, as you all know, most dead bodies are either cremated or engraved. Even medical students are, I think, getting difficulty. They have to use mostly models, diagrams, and charts to study anatomy. So, anyway, Buddha described 9 contemplation on 9 stages of decomposition of a body. Navasivatika. So here 9 metta plus just now I mentioned 5 metta, 5 plus 9. Total 14. And Kaya Nupassana alone, Buddha divided into 14 sections to meditate. Then the second foundation is Vedana Nupassana Satipatthana. Contemplation on sensations and feelings. Here Buddha just keeps as one group of feelings and sensations. So Kaya Nupassana alone is 14. Now Vedana Nupassana is 1, become 15. And the third foundation is Citta Nupassana Satipatthana, contemplation on the mind and mental factors. Here to Buddha just keep as a group of mind and mental states. So only 1. So 14 plus 1 plus 1 means 16. And the fourth foundation of mindfulness is Dhamma Nupassana Satipatthana. Here Buddha explained, divided into 5 sections to contemplate this Dhamma Nupassana Satipatthana. 5 are 1. The first one is Nivarana Bhava, Nivarana section. Nivarana, as you all know, we have often described. Nivaranas are hindrances or obliterations or impediments because they hinder or impede your progress in meditation. That's why these fighters are called hindrances. So the first section under Dhamma Nupassana, Buddha expounded 5 hindrances. Kamechanda Nivarana, passionate thoughts, Vyavada Nivarana, ill will or dosa or anger or hatred, same thing. Then third is Tina Metta, sloth and torpor. Then the fourth is Odeja Kokoja, restlessness and remorse. Then the fifth Nivarana is Vichikecha Nivarana, skeptical doubt. So these are 5 hindrances, especially at the beginners, before we can purify the mind. Every meditator encounters these 5 hindrances. Sometimes while noting, rising, falling, sitting, touching, or passionate thoughts one never expected may arise, or some unpleasant past experiences causing excitement or anger. These are all Nivarana. So in the first section, Buddha described these 5 hindrances. Then the second section in this Dhamma Nupassana Satipatthana is Khanda Bhava. Khanda Bhava is aggregates. Panchupada Nakhanda, 5 aggregates, contemplation on 5 aggregates. Rupa Khanda, Vedana Khanda, Sanya Khanda, Sankhara Khanda, and Vijnana Khanda. 5 khandas which we attach or which we grasp as I, my, and myself. So that's why these group of 5 is called Upadana Khanda. Upadana Khanda, the groups or aggregates that we cling or we grasp as I, my, and myself. So the second section is contemplation on these 5 aggregates. And today the Dhamma talk to this Bogukaba that will come later. And the third session under this Dhammanupassana Satipatthana is Ayatana Bhava. Ayatana, as you all know, it is sense objects and sense pieces. We humans are endowed with 6 senses. Eye to see, ear to hear, nose to smell, mouth to taste, body for experiencing tactile impressions, and the mind for thoughts. So the eye and the object, the ear and the sound, the nose and the smell, the tongue and the taste, the body and tactile sensations, and the mind and the thoughts. So these are 6 corresponding sense objects and sense bases. Sense bases are internal and inner bodies. 6 sense objects are external. And contemplating on that, you all are given instruction to know. Seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, or thinking. This is Ayatana Bhava of this Dhammanupassana. Then the 4th session in this Dhammanupassana Satipatthana is Bojika Bhava, enlightenment fighters. All are familiar with this one also. 7 enlightenment fighters. In Samala meditation, Buddha described 5 jhanic fighters I have already explained. And the corresponding fighters in this Vipassana Bhavana Buddha described as 7 enlightenment fighters or 7 bhujangas. Sati, Sambhojanga, mindfulness. Sati, Dhamma Vijaya Sambhojanga, investigation of Dhamma. 2. 3. Viriya Sambhojanga. Then Piti Sambhojanga. Then Pasati Sambhojanga, Samadhi Sambhojanga, and Upekha Sambhojanga. 7 enlightenment fighters. So this is the 4th session Buddha described under the Dhammanupassana Satipatthana. Then the 4th session under this, 5th session under this Dhammanupassana Satipatthana, Buddha described as Sajja Bhava. Sajja means noble truth. And he concluded these 4 foundations with 4 noble truths. And that is Sajja Bhava. 4 noble truths are noble truth of suffering, dukkha Sajja. Noble truth of the cause of suffering, samudaya Sajja. Noble truth of the cessation of suffering, nirodha Sajja. And noble truth of the path of the way leading to cessation of suffering, Magga Sajja. So these are the 4 noble truths. And this is the last session under the Dhammanupassana Satipatthana. So to revise, 4 foundations of mindfulness, Kayanupassana Satipatthana, Buddha divided into 14 sessions, 14 sessions. Then Vedananupassana Satipatthana 15. Chittanupassana Satipatthana 16. And Dhammanupassana Satipatthana 21. Here he elaborated into 21 methods of contemplation of 4 foundations of mindfulness. meditation, 4 groups of objects, 10 each, so there are 40 subjects Buddha elaborated. Since we are doing comparative study between the 2 types of meditation, I would like to give a comment important for you to point it out. Out of these 21 sections and 4 foundations of mindfulness, Anapanasati and Kayagadasati describe and Samatha meditation. It comes back also in this Satipatthana Sutta as Anapanasati and Patikula Manasikara. Patikula Manasikara is here the name is used as Patikula Manasikara Bhava. And Samatha meditation Buddha used as Kayagata Sati because the group of them is Anusati Bhavana. So that's why he used it. But these are 2 same things. So they can be practiced as both as Samatha as well as Vipassana. That's why out of 40 subjects in Samatha and 21 subjects in this Vipassana Bhavana, these 2 become common for both types of meditation. That is worthy of note. Anapanasati Bhavana and Kayagadasati or Patikula Manasikara Bhava, contemplation on 32 parts of the body. They are same. So they are common to both meditation. Second point worthy of note is to practice Samatha Bhavana. You can use only one posture, sitting posture. Buddha said, Aranya Katova, Rokamula Katova, Tomyakara Katova, Ujungkaya Panitaya. He said, go to a forest, isolated place far away from human busyness and noise. Keep your body straight, because you had to develop one-pointedness of mind to establish strong concentration. You cannot move about, because you had to fix on only single object. So you had to use one posture only by sitting meditation. So please remember, for Vipassana Bhavana, we had to use all the 4 bodily postures. Sitting, standing, walking, and lying down. The third very important fact, if you follow me closely, you can make out. In Samatha meditation, the object of meditation is mostly conceptual, mostly because excepting those 2, Anapana and Kayagadasati, the rest are concepts, conventional objects. That's very important, please remember. So if you are seeing only concepts, it is not Vipassana, it is Samatha Bhavana. Whereas in Vipassana Bhavana, all the objects are Paramatha Dhamma. And about Paramatha Dhamma, I have many times talked to you. Chaita, Cetasika, Rupa. So these are all Paramatha, and what object we use for this Vipassana Bhavana inside meditation is this Paramatha Dhamma. Whereas for Samatha meditation, excepting Anapanasati and Kayagadasati, the rest objects are concepts, as I have explained in detail in my last talk, how conceptual images contemplated want to develop a self-concentration in Apana Samadhi.
punya yatina hotu sukita hontu nyatayo imano punya baga sabba satana tema sadu sadu sadu